Chapter 44. Why do they get cannons? I want cannons. I did not accept his apology. Neither did my friends. They formed a protective ring around me and began slashing through the enemy ranks, slowly shuffling toward the starboard side of the ship. Still hopping on one leg, Mallory Keene scooped up her evil walnut and dropped it into her pocket, then demonstrated her dual knife-wielding prowess by stabbing her blades into Captain Trim's crotch. Halfborn and TJ fought like killing machines. I didn't want to give myself credit for their gusto, but the way they plowed through troops of Draugr was awe-inspiring, almost as if they were determined to be as good as I described them, as if my words had made them larger, and while making Loki smaller. "Follow me!" Sam yelled, her spear of light blasting a path to starboard. Alex swung her garrote like a whip, lopping off the heads of any giants who came too close. I was afraid Blitzen might get trampled in the crush, but Hearthstone knelt and let the dwarf climb onto his shoulders. Okay, that was a new one. I didn't think Hearth had the physical strength to carry Blitz, who was short but stout and hardly a little kid. Yet Hearth managed, and from unquestioning way Blitz accepted the ride. I got the feeling they'd done this before. Blitz threw neckties and expando ducks like Mardi Gras beads, sowing terror in the enemy ranks. Meanwhile, Hearth lobbed a familiar rune toward the foredeck. Awas, the rune of the steed, exploded with golden light. Suddenly, floating in the air above us, was our old friend Stanley, the eight-legged horse. Stanley surveyed the chaos, whinnied, as if to say, "Fight scene, a cameo, okay." Then he leapt into the fray, fly galloping on the skulls of Jotuns and generally causing havoc. Jack, buzzing angrily, flew to my side. "I have a blade to grind with you, senor." "What?" I ducked as a spear flew over my head. "You gave this beautiful speech," Jack said, "and who do you leave out?" "Really?" Jack hilt punched a giant so hard the poor guy flew backward, domino toppling a line of zombie cavalry. I gulped down my mortification. How could I have forgotten my sword? Jack hated being forgotten. "Jack, you were my secret weapon," I said. "You said that about Alex." You were my ace in the hole. I was saving the best for, emergency poetry." "A likely story." He chopped through the nearest clump of Draugr like Vitamex. I'll get Braugi, the god of poetry, to personally write an epic about you," I blurted out, regretting the promise as soon as I made it. "You're the best sword ever, honestly." "An epic, huh?" He glowed a brighter shade of red. Or maybe that was all the gore dripping from his blade. "By Bragi, huh?" "Absolutely," I said. "Now, let's get out of here. Show me your best stuff, so I can describe it to Bragi later." Jack whirled toward a metropolitan giant, snicker snacking him into natty pieces. "I suppose I can do that." He went to work, slashing our enemies like a frantic Black Friday shopper rifling through a clothes rack. "No, no, no!" Jack yelled. "I don't like you. Get out of my way. You're ugly." Soon, our little cluster of heroes reached the starboard rail. Unfortunately, the drop over the side was 400 feet at least, straight into icy gray waters. My stomach twisted. This was twice as long as the fall I'd flubbed in the main mast of old Ironsides. "We'll die if we jump," Mallory noted. The enemy horde pressed us against the rail. No matter how well we fought, our enemies wouldn't even have to hit us to kill us now. Their sheer numbers would flatten us or push us overboard. I pulled out my yellow handkerchief. "I can summon Milgokr the way we did in Ager's Hall. Except we're falling down now," Alex said, "not floating up. And there's no Njord to protect us." "She's right," Blitz yelled, throwing a generous handful of neckties to his admirers. "Even if the ship doesn't break apart on impact, our bones will." Sam peered over the side. "And even if we survived, those guns would blow our ship out of the water." "Guns?" I followed her gaze. I hadn't noticed them before, probably because the ports had been closed. But now the side of the Naglfar's hull bristled with rows of cannon muzzles. "That's not fair," I said. "Vikings didn't have cannons. How come Naglfar gets cannons?" TJ zapped a zombie with his bayonet. "I'll be sure to lodge a complaint against the Ragnarok Rules Committee. But right now, whatever you're going to do, we need to do it." "Agreed," Halfborn shouted, his axe slicing through a pack of skeletal wolves. "I've got a plan," Sam announced. You're not going to like it." "I love it," Blitz cried. "What is it?" Jump, Sam said. Alex ducked a javelin. But the whole breaking every bone in our bodies thing? No time to explain. Sam said, jump. When your Valkyrie tells you to jump, you jump. I was the first one over the side. I tried to remember what Percy had taught me. Skydiver, eagle, arrow, but, though I knew that falling from this height, none of it would matter. I hit the water with a mighty flume. I had died enough times to know what to expect. A sudden, overwhelming surge of pain, followed by complete darkness. But that didn't happen. Instead, I bobbed to the surface, gasping and shivering, but completely unharmed. I realized something was buoying me up. The water churned and bubbled around me like I'd fallen into a jacuzzi. Between my legs, the current felt almost solid, as if I was sitting astride a creature sculpted from sea. Directly in front of me, a head rose from the waves. Strong neck of gray water, a mane of frost, a majestic snout spewing plumes of icy mist from its nostrils. I was riding a Vatnatir, a water horse. My friends plunged into the water too, each dropping right onto the back of a waiting horse spirit. The Vatnatir, Vatnatir, whinnied and bucked as spears rained down around us. Let's move! Sam swooped down with her blazing spear and settled on the back of the lead water horse, toward the mouth of the bay. The horses raced away from the ship of the dead. Giants and draugrs screamed in outrage. Spears and arrows splashed in the water. Cannons boomed. Shells exploded near enough to spray us with water. But the water horse were faster and more maneuverable than any ship. They zigged and zagged, rocketing across the bay with incredible speed. Jack flew up beside me. Hey, senor, did you see the one I disemboweled? Yeah, I said. It was amazing. And the way I cut off that Jotun's limbs? Right. I hope you were taking notes for Braggy's epic. Absolutely. I made a mental note to start taking more mental notes. A different equine figure zoomed above us. Stanley, the 8-legged horse, checking that we were okay. He whinnied like, okay, guess we're done here. Have a nice day. Then he shot toward the steel-gray clouds. The water horse was surprisingly warm, like a living animal, which kept my legs and crotch from freezing completely in the frigid water. Still, I remembered Mallory and Halfborn's stories about the water horse dragging their victims to the bottom of the sea. How was Simra controlling them? If the herd decided to take a dive, we were all dead. Yet we kept racing forward toward the gap in the glaciers in the mouth of the bay. Already I could see the water beginning to refreeze, the ice floes thickening and hardening. Summer in Niflheim, which lasted about 12 minutes, was now over. Behind us, the boom of cannons carried over the water, but the ship Naglfar remained at its moorings. I could only hope, since we had their admiral in a walnut, the ship would be forced to stay there. We shot out of the bay into the frosty sea, our water horses picking us a path through the broken ice floes. Then we turned south toward the much safer, monster-infested open waters of Jotunheim.